Hey friends, welcome to the Ancient Health Podcast, where East meets West. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Motley, and today I have a very special guest, a person I've really looked forward to having on the show because I was on her Instagram Live. It's Kim Rogers, and I'm telling you, I use your Parasite kit. I have my patients on it. But first of all, some people call you the Worm Queen. I think you're just the worm expert, but thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you so much. Seriously, girl. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this podcast. You're so much fun. You're so much fun.
I'm so glad. I think that we can have fun, and we're going to have everybody out there that's listening. You've seen Kim on Instagram. You've seen her on TikTok. We'll have a good conversation, have some laughs. And first of all, though, I just really respect what Kim does because there has been some, I guess, ways to look at parasite infections. Some people think people in the first world countries, like they do not get parasite infection, which is further from the truth. But I felt seriously very happy when you started to do your work that I was like, there's somebody out there that really understands that there are parasites that really can injure people. Because side note, everyone, when I first started practice, the idea that somebody had some form of parasite or worm that made them sick to make them have a physical structural problem was kind of like foreign to me. And when I studied it more and I thought, oh, and then you come to the forefront and like, this is a real thing. So I don't get over talking. I want it to be fun for everybody out there, but if people want to know about you, I love hearing your story, and we want to hear about how you got into worms. And I wish on the clip we could have, Jim Carrey going, I got worms. Remember that on Dumb and Dumber?
Yes,
He goes, that's what we're going to call it. Me and my friend Harry are going to start a worm farm called I Got Worms. Anyway, okay. Christy's in the background. She's going to be like, okay, whatever, dude. She's going to kill me.
Pop it up. She can find the clip. I'm sure I can find it in seconds. Because
we need to put it on there.
I love looking for clips that I can like put behind me. Because
do it. Jim Carrey, he goes, I got worms.
Oh,
and
she's in
the back. She goes, excuse me? And he goes, no, me and my friend Harry are going to start a worm farm.
We're going to start a worm farm.
Yeah.
My friend Harry and I are saving up our money to open our own pet store.
That's nice.
I got worms.
I beg your pardon?
That's what we're going to call it.
Okay. I got worms.
Everybody out there is listening right now, too, is like, get on with the program, sir. And I'm just like, no. Okay. So we got to talk about you. Please tell us about you, how you got into worms and really parasites, because this is very important. I mean, it heals people and changes people's lives.
Yeah. And the way I developed the Parasite kit wasn't just for worms, but it was for really a lot of my own personal ailments that I was having because I couldn't get any help out there. And that's what really started this whole thing. I come from Western medicine. I've been in Western medicine since 2004. I have 2 healthcare degrees. I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I was a professor. I have multiple certifications. And this just wasn't something that like we really ever thought could have an issue in our lives. Right. And so I think that's why I'm so loud about it, is because it really did take me from doing all of the things that I was really good at. And I was an athlete. I ate really well. And it just took me down, and it was so fast. And my husband and I think about this often, and it wasn't very long ago. This was all in 2020 and 2021 for us. And so I really, as soon as I started cleansing, I realized like, oh my gosh, like we should all be doing this. Like, what is happening? Why aren't we talking about how your body can accumulate so many toxins? And so for me, realizing that it was in our water was really kind of a big light bulb for us in those moments. I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm bathing in this, like I'm showering in this, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm not necessarily drinking it, but how is this possible? How is this that we're not talking about this in life?
Oh, so when you heal, like it's going through your body, you realize you were sick and you started making your own tinctures and own herbs, did a lot of research. Anybody that talks with you knows you're like literally genius level and you think ahead. I know you do, because I can tell that you think about like, well, there has to be a mechanism. Where do I get it from? Where is it going to? When did you know, this may be going a little too far back, like you were sick, like what were some of the symptoms that you went, this is not just, having a cold. Like there's something
Right.
else in my body. What were some of the main signs you started to see and you're like, I had to research deeper?
Well, I had stage 4 endometriosis and I had 13 surgeries and I had hysterectomy when I was 29 and I'm 46 now. And so in the
Wow.
beginning of my 40s, I was still really sick. So I had my hysterectomy and then I had 5 surgeries after. And I started thinking, why are they keep cutting on me? Something else is going on in my body. I'm not going to the bathroom regularly. I'm not losing weight at all. And like, no matter what I did, I could literally not eat for days and I would gain weight. So something was happening in my body that no one could figure out. And so I got to a point in 2019 that I was so heavy and so inflamed. And it wasn't even so heavy, like weight heavy. I was so swollen that I didn't know what to do. And when I reached out to my Western medicine doctors, they were like, yep, you should try some psyllium husk. Maybe try this and we'll see what happens. And you can't have any more surgeries, by the way, Kim. We've already chopped on you enough. And there is not much left for us to do. So you really need to kind of figure it out on your own. And I have the email still and I look at it often
Wow.
when I'm discouraged, right? Because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So you're just telling me like, I got to fend for myself. Okay, no problem. I am happy to figure all of this out. And so my husband quit his job and I quit all of mine. And we headed out to our property in Hoodsport, Washington, where we were building a log home. We built it with our bare hands. And so I just started to dig. I had some extra time that I could stop and figure out, all right, so if I want to lose weight, what do I do? If I want to go to the bathroom, what herbs can I use? And then I found out I needed to get off of my big pharma medications. So I was on Klonopin and I had been for 22 years and I was having side effects from that. So I'm like, well, in order for me to figure out really what's going on with my body, I need a new baseline. And it's not being on synthetic medications.
Wow. And it's
I
like
need
when
to
you
figure out what's wrong with me.
and you got to that, like, was there, like, for the people out there listening, was there a time when you, like you knew something was up, something was wrong? And like when
Yes.
you were looking at the herbs, like to the extent where you went, well, this herb helps with bloating.
Yes.
This herb helps with this. And you started to see an underlying like connection, like, well, parasites, this also kills parasites. Did that kind of
Totally.
start to go into your head? Like all these herbs kill parasites. Do I have a problem with parasites? Is that sort of like some direction too that it went?
100%. And
love it.
in a few years, I have goosebumps because that really is what started to break it down for me. Was 5 years before I had some weird areas that needed to be biopsied, and when they saw it, they saw an area in my breast and then they saw an area in another area, and when I went back to get it biopsied, it was gone. And I started doing connection around the full moon. I would swell during the full moon. My flares were during the full moon. And of course you write full moon and health connections and it always leads you back to parasites. And so I looked at colonics and wormwood and then I kind of moved on. And then in 2020, when I started to really dig into my health, I started making even more connections. And then in 21, obviously I went on TikTok and saw that, Paragard is who I had originally used. And that's who I went viral over. And I saw the major connections that were going on. I did 3 days, and within 3 days, I saw flukes, pinworms, roundworm, and come to find out now, I know I had cryptosporidium and parvium, which is why I was struggling so heavily with my organs, was because crypto slowly starts to shut your organs down. And that is really what ended up happening with me, because it wasn't just a little flare. Like I found out since then I have Lyme. So I have chronic Lyme. I've had it for decades. We were living in mold. So there was more to it than just, I had crypto. But that was really kind of the gateway to everything for me. But I saw in the toilet, man, I saw this stuff. And then I'm like, oh.
No. What did you do when you turned, like the first time, like people out there got to listen because they're going to be like, oh my word. Like maybe like you turn around, you're like, what is that? Is that what you did?
I stopped, I looked down, and I mean, it wasn't just like one style of worm. It was, I saw flukes, I saw eggs. I saw pinworms on multiple occasions, but didn't really think that, there's no way I could have pinworms, right? Like, I'm 40 years old. You don't have pinworms as an adult. So embarrassing. And then I saw like some little roundworms, and I just didn't even know. I stood there for a minute, and then I got a little angry because I'm like, this is what's wrong with me.
So you were like, this is what's wrong with me. And no knock on like Western medicine. I have friends that are Western medicine that do well, but
love
like,
Western medicine too. Yeah.
Why wouldn't we know? Like, why wouldn't a
Totally.
doctor think that to check for parasites? Why wouldn't they do that?
Totally. Why not? Like, how easy? I did 3 days of some wormwood, clove, and garlic. Like, come on. And I dumped probably like, months of another cycle coming into my body because I did it during the full moon. And I remember I made the video right after because I was so shook that I made the video
after that because they saw it. And so what do you think goes in? Because you're seeing this. I love the stories. Like, you've seen this. Things are coming out of your body. Some people out there listening right now are going, I do see stuff in my poop sometimes. And I wonder, because I've had people come to you. Do you ever have this? They'll say, well, I don't remember eating bean sprouts or anything like that. And they're like, but do you think I see anything, Doc?
All day. The pictures. What is this? The DMs. So it looks like, and you're all, yo, man, if it looks weird, it's probably it. Like,
it truly, like, okay, so I had me and Kim are geeking out because it's so fun to tell you this. I had a patient that I kept finding through like just some bioresonance scanning. I kept finding Giardia on her. Giardia. And I was like, man, I am put on the Parasite kit. She comes back after she was on it for 4 weeks because I had to start slow because she would just like detox too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And this is no joke, guys. It was like a picture perfect Giardia she found in like you would see it on, on the, CDC website.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally, they go, Giardia's like, that is a perfect Giardia example. But she messaged me in all exclamation points. She goes, what is coming out of my body? What is this? And, but I'm just telling you, and I know we're going to keep going, but I'm saying we want to talk about why Western medicine recognize it.
Right.
But I want to say a testament to Kim, though. I had a patient that she had anxiety since she had a divorce 10 years ago, but her husband had passed. Her husband had passed 10 years ago. Chronic anxiety for 10 years straight. So she comes in. Long story short, we found some streptococcus, and I found a little bit of viral infection I think was in her lungs. We started to clean that out. And then when I got to the bottom of it, Kim, I was like, okay, I really think I'm going to follow Kim's protocol. I said, I think that there is a really bad parasite underneath it all. But I said, I think you're doing really well. And she goes, 70% of my anxiety is gone because we killed off a lot of the bacteria. So she said, hey, came back the next time. She goes, I got a story for you. I said, what's the story? She says, I was at the restaurant, me and my son. She says, something gurgled inside my stomach after I started taking it. She says, I started to sweat a little bit. She says, I didn't feel really, really sick, but I knew something was coming. She goes, I had to go home. She goes, I need to go home, go to the restroom. So she did. She goes, I went to the restroom and there was a long worm, or I think it was a worm that was the length of the hole on top of the water, the toilet bowl. And she goes, I almost threw up. And she was, she's in her 60s, maybe early 70s. She's like, I almost threw up. She goes, I can't believe it. And then she goes, this is what was awesome. She goes, I haven't had a lick of anxiety since.
Oh, that's so good.
So anybody out there listening, thinking parasites can't make that. And it was so heartwarming. She was like, and this lady had anxiety all her life. She thought she was stuck with it. She's like, I had to take the medication. She's like, I told my doctor not to take it. And I'm not telling you don't take your medication,
right?
But it just shows it. So, man, this is so great. I love having you on here. We got to do this more often. I'm not kidding. Yeah. I love talking with you. What do you think when you went to the doctor and they were like, take psyllium husk? Why do you think that's such a huge rejection in Western medicine or present day that they can't think you have parasites, or parasites not even considered? Why do you think?
I think it's a fear to them that they're wrong, and that how did they not know it? That same feeling that I had when I saw them, and then immediately flipped my mind, like, how many people did I discard when I was working in the field?
Wow.
But I'm going to do something different with that feeling. I'm going to go on my TikTok account and I'm going to do a video every day until I can't do videos anymore, because for me personally, this is like, hello, wake up. We're in 2025 now. This is so possible. They don't have borders. You go to Mexico, you come back, you bring it with you. And then it can be passed around your family, you know, because you're all sharing the same microbiome. And it's like, you don't think that that can happen because we're not educated enough around it. And it's sad that my stuff had to go to Mexico for me to find out that I had them
Wow.
in my body and in my water. It went to Mexico. There is nothing even here in the United States that actually, parasites.org is who we use, but when it gets to a point, they send it to Mexico. So I think that it's really just the knowledge that we're lacking, and that people are afraid to come out and say it. Like, come out and say that I don't know. Like, it's okay to say I don't know. And it's okay then to go, here's my solution though. Here's the problem and I need a solution. And that's what I did. I just stopped and I thought, okay, first off, I don't have $700 a month to do Cellcore. My husband and I really were very poor because of the fact that I was so chronically ill. Being chronically ill is very expensive.
Yes.
It is. It's very expensive. A lot of things I do now are not covered by insurance. And that's why I made this kit so inexpensive, because I want everyone to do it. I feel in my bones that you need to do this a minimum of 3 to 4 times a year, and that you really will come out a healthier person, not just because it has anti-parasitics in it. It has Oregon grapefruit, which is an anti-parasitic, but it also helps with inflammation. And I use ancient herbs like usnea, which, I mean, come on, usnea is one of my favorite. Like, it's like the best. And so it's really introducing people to understand how the structure of herbs, it kind of was stolen by the synthetic driven big P herbs like Amanita was. And so that's how they developed that frequency, but they also developed that specific type of medication is from an herb. So I'm trying to show people different relationships with herbs as well, and how they can do multiple different things. But back to why I really feel that this is important, because we eat the food that's coming across the borders from people that cleanse, that they take anti-parasitics on 2 to 3 times a year in Mexico and Ecuador and other countries. We're eating their food. It just doesn't stop at the border. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly. And I think I love the way that you put it. It's, you know, when we are in a culture where, like you say, we think that borders stop parasitic infection. I remember my grandmother, and I know you probably too, like when you have people in your family. My grandmother was raised on the farms, and I've had patients like this, and they say, well, we used to do, literally they would take turpentine and do a turpentine cleanse. They would say we did it 3 or 4 times a year, because they knew when worms were like the most prevalent, and they said, yeah, we would poop out some worms. I had another patient, she was raised on cattle farms in East Tennessee, and girl, I kept getting heart indicators on her. And I said, I think from my check, I think you have heartworms. But I didn't say it like, you know, scary. I said, I think you do. And you know what she said? She's the sweetest older lady. She says, well, you know what, Dr. Chris? She goes, I had heartworms. It was my doctor told me back when I was younger, like in my teenage years, I had heartworms. And when you were talking about worms on your on your TikToks, and you talk about how much those things can stick around, like, and I was like, it was years, probably just laying eggs and sticking around and shedding. And like you said, like, what can we get it from? She's like, I was like, where? She goes, where do I get it from? I was like, probably from the water, probably from your family. Like, I can go on and on with you. Like, I saw that one post you did that, yes, it can come from across border. It can come in food, right? Is that right? We got to go over sources.
Yes.
It can come in food. And I remember the one you showed with the cat, where you thought, well, the cat's all kind, and you wiped the cat's feet and you saw the micro parasites. And I was like, that's why people don't say, I'm like, no, the parasites are on your pillows and stuff, probably. And they're waiting on, right?
Yeah, they're on the pillows because they can be transferred so easily. I was watching a video, and I might do a duet on it. I might do something. I don't know yet, because it's so many different aspects of everything that we're doing. But they can be breathed in. And I didn't realize that, you know, when you're laying with your pets and they're laying next to you, how easy it is for you to contract them.
Yeah. That's why. So when you had all the signs and symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
and you have like the sources. So like we're saying, like you could have bloating, like you
Right.
said, around the full moon, you had worse symptoms because those things are getting
Yes.
active, and you had really bad bloating, endometriosis pain. Did you have like brain fog, and did you
Yeah.
have any neurological symptoms too? Like, because some people
So
say like,
many.
really,
So many neurological issues. Grinding of the teeth was a big indication for
oh
me. And then I just found out salt cravings is one, and I've always craved salt more than sugar. So, and I was a little shooketh about that because I'm always craving salt. So now I know when it comes around that it's time for me to do like a really robust cleanse because I'm craving something that they're really craving. But I went to an extreme. So I have a lot of medical PTSD
yeah.
from all the surgeries and kind of being bounced around Western medicine and, really trusting. And so I thought, oh, it's just from all of that. Like, that's where my anxiety is stemming from. But looking back now, knowing that like a lot of my anxiety and a little bit of paranoia is because I had such an infestation. But it's not just
Wow.
me. Like, it's a lot of us not realizing it and then taking a synthetic that has heavy metals in it to weight them down even more. So it's even more challenging to rid your body of them with just one
Mm,
anti-parasitic pill. That's
mm.
why I brought in a heavy metal detox into the kit, because it helps release the heavy metals, which gives it more of a fighting chance for you to remove more and more as you're doing it.
So
But
I love it too. Is that too like is there like a cause where the parasites eat up some of the metals? Is that one
yeah,
case too, that they like engulf it? Is that true?
yeah. And they some of them live off of it, right? And that's why in
Wow.
like this community, some people believe you should have parasites to eat up those heavy metals so that they don't get re-ingested into your body, causing more problems. But I'm just not one of those people in the
Yeah, yeah.
parasite world that thinks that you should have them, because it's so severe for everyone that I see that does do parafy. It's not something that I would be like, yeah, keep them around. They're going to absorb your heavy metals. No, just detox your body from heavy metals then, so that you
Truly.
don't have even more alive organism. They're a frequency, right? They're like, it's its own alive frequency. And in a sense, it is smart that they absorb the spores and the heavy metals and that you got to rid your body of them. But also, those things should not be in our bodies.
Yeah, they
So,
poop. Like they'll poop and you have a lot
yeah,
of waste. And I'm like, how do you get rid of the waste? Like, because I think about it too though, Kim, like, if we had enough sunlight, if we had enough minerals in our body, if we had enough vitamins, like rich food and stuff, our bodies probably could have a detox pathway that could
right.
actually get rid of the toxicities quick, but we don't live in that world. And,
No.
you know, I've had both camps, like just like you, like they're like, well, parasites should be there because they help offset things. And the other one's like, no. And I'm like, I'm on the side of like, go ahead and get it out of your body because there's
Yeah.
too much poop that's in the body,
Well,
honestly.
and that's a good indication too that you could be going through a cycle, is if you smell ammonia, because that's what they're pooping out is ammonia. And I know when I'm in the thick of a detox and I'm like, oh, ammonia. Oh, yeah, I have disrupted them. They are upset. I'm getting
Yeah.
down to another layer. Like, because people don't realize that ammonia smell is them peeing and pooping in our bodies. It's so gross.
Oh, it's so. I mean, trust me. I mean, everybody out there, I'm using myself as an example. Like when I do like Parify, I'll throw like, I love it when you put like a few of the metal detoxifiers.
Hmm.
I do it. And I'm like, I mean, I'm just being honest. I'll be like at night, I'm like talking, and I'll be like with my friends, and I kind of like get a whiff of myself. I'm like, man, something kind of smells. And then I'm like, wait a, that's me. Like that's me. Like no, like it can't be. You gotta like get. I'm like no,
Yeah.
uh, nobody get near me. But see, that's why I'm like those signs and signals. I think that's great. Like that ammonia, sulfury smell.
Hmm.
When people say I smell that way, I get bloated. I have headaches. You have neurological symptoms and signs, especially around full moon. And then, like when you say that has no borders, since you see the signs and symptoms,
Yeah.
so the main sources are like you say, pets, cats. What are some of the main sources? Because I know people love to hear where they come from.
Fish. I
Oh,
mean,
fish. I seen your videos
I
about that being in like the Costco fish.
Oh, the Costco fish is the worst. And that's specifically because they buy it in bulk and they don't have a good cut. Now, all fish, not all, most fish have parasites. It's just it's just the nature. Like, this is nature, right? They're here for a reason, but this is the way that you have to understand that salmon that is caught, and at Costco especially, they're not giving you the best cut. Closer to the belly is the highest in parasites. And they say, and I will look for the study, but like this big, so it's like a square, has 10,000 eggs in a section of salmon. Like literally, like one square.
I'm just saying. I want to make a joke, but people are gonna. I don't want to get people mad and be like, it's like sushi night gonna be.
Oh my God.
Gonna be a little harsh because. I mean, a long time ago, like, because I'm half Asian, you know, half like, Koreans, and you know, a lot of the Japanese, we eat a lot of sushi, but 10,000 eggs. So you could have it in your, I mean, fish. You could have it in your water because water sources. You get it from friends or partners or pets.
Right.
When you say like
in a lake, going in the lake, going in rivers, walking barefoot. Now, don't come with me. Don't come to me about, or don't come after me because I ground, but I do ground in a specific area that I've cleaned with diatomaceous earth, and I don't have any pets anymore. But if I did, I would make sure they never went in that little area for grounding, because they can go right up into your feet, because we have pores in our feet. We absorb everything through our skin. But food is a big one. I mean, I even went down, because I live in Seattle, and I went down to Pike, and I asked them, I'm like, hey, so what fish have parasites? They're like, well, almost all fish have parasites. And then they showed me what it looked like on the fish, and it was like halibut. And I would have never known that is what was parasites on it. Like,
wow. Like, I mean, I love this. We're going to have you again on the podcast because I love this, because I want people out there to know, and Kim and I are saying this, like, we're not trying to get you to be afraid at all. This is like, and honestly, like, people like, am I afraid I have parasites? Like, I know I have parasites, but I also think that knowing the avenues I can take to help clean the body out and keep it balanced is what is very empowering. So I want everybody to know that. I'm talking fast because I get excited about this. So you saw in fish that they had signs and signals that they had worms. So they get into, seriously, you eat them or you ingest them, they go into the gut. Where are the places in your body they can go? Like, you know what I mean? Some say upper digestion, some say this goes to a lung, some they go to the brain or something. Like, what is some of the main areas?
All of them. But, you know, it is the gut, but they're in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle. And if you think about what you're eating and that's where they are, they go in the same spot in your body as well. So it's not like if a fish or a cow or a pig, because really pork is a huge issue with parasites. It really is. Tapeworms specifically, you know, Robert Kennedy has a tapeworm in his brain. And he got it from undercooked pork. And he did a whole thing about it about 8 months ago, that they were able to kill it off, but like the physical body of it is still in his brain. And so it's really very common to contract a parasite from your food, and especially if you're not cooking your food. So everything. And the same with produce. I know people are going to go, oh, well, I'm vegan or vegetarian. Actually, I think you probably have more parasites if you're vegan or vegetarian, because you're only eating produce that has maybe not been prepared correctly. It's not soaked appropriately. It's not cleaned right. And I learned how crazy that is because I was cleaning my produce with our worm infected water.
And this is the one thing that you said, like, when you have produce, and guys, I'm not laughing because I think it's fun. It's just amazing to me, all these things that can happen. You have the water that you clean your produce in. Now get this, you had a report. I remember you told me this, and I researched it more, that there had been cities that have had reports that they'll give you information about their water sources, like certain water in certain cities, and they may have E. coli in them. They may have certain types of parasites. But the thing that you told me was this. You said, well, they really don't look for the worms themselves. They only look for cysts. And I was like, wait a minute. Right. You're telling me that they don't look for the actual worm. And so we're missing like the small worms, the thread worms, the round worms that are floating in the water, because everybody out there has had times when they looked at the sun kind of, off, and they could see like in their eye, you can see something in your eye. and you'll see something squiggly going across. And I'm like, people say, what is that? I was like,
That's a
those are
worm.
parasites. Yeah. And so that's the deal, right? Like your city water has it all in there.
Right. So our country tests for parasites, but not nematodes. And so I live in Seattle. I've tested the water. It tested positive for nematodes.
Oh,
And so Hoodsport, Washington tests positive for nematodes. And that's how this whole thing started for me and my husband. And then we moved to Seattle and tested our water here because we still have our log home in Hoodsport, but we needed to finish it. So that's why we live here. We got an apartment, and obviously we have some water trauma. So we tested it and it tested positive. So every drop of water in our apartment is filtered, 100% filtered. You cannot come into our apartment and get normal Seattle tap water, and they love their water here. Like, it's a thing. If you sit down at a restaurant and you're like, no, I don't want your water, they're like, what? It's Seattle water. You're like, yeah, I know what's in your water.
It's true. It's like with the amount of, like you say, the amount of parasites in there, you wash your produce, and people would say you could get in your water, and then they will say, Doc, where do you get most of them? I said, I agree with you 100%. I've had people that have really done a good job of washing their fruits and vegetables with baking soda and apple cider vinegar, and they'll show me I've literally seen small worms come out of certain fruits and vegetables, and I'm thinking because they have to eat sugars too, right? They have a metabolism, right? And then they're going after the same stuff.
And that's their number one thing is sugar. Like, they love. I don't know if you've seen the video where the microscope and they put a sugar cube and then they're like on crack because they love the sugar. Like, they live off of sugar. That's why they have you crave the sugar. But I do have to say, I don't recommend baking soda and vinegar because it cancels each other out, causing it to just create a salt. So I have a totally different soak. Yeah. Even though the effervescence is really cool of the two put together and it looks like it's cleaning it, it's actually canceling them out. So you either want to use just vinegar or you want to use just baking soda. But my soak,
what's yours?
I have a specific soak that will really get in there and clean them. And then I also add the Therasage bubbler, the ozone machine, to it too, because you're cleaning your produce for nutrients to put back into your body. And so I like this soak because I use 2 cups of vinegar, a half of a lime, 2 tablespoons of Baja Gold Sea Salt, which adds nutrients that's missing in your produce back into your produce.
Yep.
And then I do filtered or distilled water, and I let that soak for 5 to 10 minutes. And then I rinse it with filtered or distilled water. And then I use the ozone bubbler to just get any potential remnants that soak didn't get. But you're kind of biohacking, stacking on that because you're adding the sea salt, magnesium back into your produce that it's missing when you're soaking it, and you're not canceling anything out. So you're adding another layer. And then when you do the Therasage bubbler, which is only $100 to buy one of those, and you can use the ozone machine for so many things, but you're also creating another barrier, and your produce will be crispier and last longer. My produce usually lasts about 4 extra days because you're removing the bacteria off of the produce that is actually eating your produce and, bruising it and making it not so great. So you're taking your food to a whole nother level. You're quantum leaping your food because you're adding back in minerals and you're taking that bacteria off. And then there is no way that you could be getting any parasites or bacteria back into your body.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to have Christy, the producer, put that they're going to ask for that. So we'll put it in the show notes, the caption. And I mean, I'm going to ask, Robbie has some great, devices at Therasage. I mean, they're Therasage. It's so good.
So good.
I'm going all over because I know people are going to ask this. So when you get water and you have filters, like different carbon filters or coconut carbon filter, I know like some people say like just get a really good home, based unit for water filtration, but do you have any ones that you think are really good at getting all the parasites out?
Yeah. So I have a few. I have my apartment set up, and then I also have my log home set up. I like Blue Onyx. It's a 3 filter system with a UV light. I feel like anything that is multiple filters that is 40 micron or smaller. And that includes my shower filter as well. So you're looking for filtration systems that say 5 micron or smaller.
Ooh.
Because nematodes are 40 micron. And so that's like how many times the filter is kind of like circled and woven. And so it allows them to not make it through. And so that's really the purpose, is you're making sure that nothing's going to come through into the sitting of that filtration system. So I have Blue Onyx, and it has a UV light. So it goes through the filter, and then possibly anything that could have made it through that filter will then be killed with the UV light. And so then when you get into the water that you drink, so also keep in mind when you're out and about, don't use ice, because ice is made with tap water most of the time. So you have to remember the ice is also contaminated. So any water that goes into my house, I have then like I have an RO, and then I also have add back minerals, because now I've stripped everything out of my water, and now I got to add some minerals back in. Now, I live in an apartment here in Seattle as well, and I just have a water drop filtration system underneath my sinks.
Water, is that the name of it? Water drop?
It's water drop. Yeah. And it's just a under sink filter system. It's just 3 filters. Mm-hmm. And it's real easy. It's a couple $100. You can literally go underneath your sink, unhook the line from the water and hook it to the filter, and then hook that back up to your sink. I have in my kitchen, I have a hot and a cold filter underneath, because they are 2 separate lines.
Yeah.
And then in my bathrooms, it's just cold, because I don't mind having cold water in my bathroom. And then on my shower, I have a clear 1 micron on my shower. And you literally can go onto Amazon and just type in 1 micron shower filter. And that one, we have tested it, and it tests well. It's like $50.
1 micron shower filter, $50.
1 micron shower filter, and it'll come up.
And not to interrupt, this is really great. So you had 5 micron or smaller. You had the Blue Onyx. When the water goes through, because it goes through and it hits, like you have an RO system. Do you have you're putting stuff back into it, but do you have an RO system that people will ask? Because do you run it from your Blue Onyx into the RO system, and the RO system into your house?
Yes.
Wow. Do you have a particular one you like the best?
Just anyone that I think one that's has like 7 is how it has a 7 filter system. And that's what kept Jeremy and me from getting so sick, was I wasn't drinking the water. This is how sick I got from just having minimal exposure to this contaminated water. It was so minimal, but I was so sick. And finding out that I lived in mold at the same time. We were in a travel trailer building our log home, and we were living in Aspergillus niger, black toxic mold. Oof. And I had chronic Lyme undiagnosed until 23. And I was minimal exposure to parasites that took me all down. So if you're chronically ill and you have any exposure, that's really an issue, because of the fact that your body is so already fighting to just stay alive. It's like, oh, and I do believe we're in this amazing medical awakening where people are realizing that our chronic illnesses are contributed from environmental toxins.
Yes.
Everything that I'm looking at and dealing with, and that I've dealt with in my own body, has been from the environment. I got bit by a tick. I have strep in the brain. All of these things are this environmental thing that people don't realize. And I think that that's where Western medicine is amiss, is that they're not just in deniers about parasites. They are in a deny about mold. And like 60% of our buildings in our country have black mold. And it's like, you add those 2 things together, and we're not testing our water appropriately. They test it for bacteria. Oh yeah, moldies is the best. That's why that came about, because there is nothing out there that's a really solid, easy for anyone. That's the thing, is I have all this knowledge, but not everyone does, and I wanted them to be able to grab a tincture and just be like, drops, done.
Yep. That's exactly. And it is that way, because like with moldies or parafy, and we're going to talk about that, like the systems that you've talked about just to clean the water out, it shows you how serious, like we know that parasites has created dysfunction in the body. And now, same as you, when you have many patients that come in, we see the signs and symptoms. We know that there could be sources, like you've just mentioned, it's around us. with that, the extra things in the environment you're talking about, because there could be like glyphosates or pesticides, or it could be EMF fields. Does EMF fields ever have a problem? Like have a weakening effect, or does it affect the body where the parasites could get a little, heavier or
Yeah,
hurt the body more?
for sure. I can
No.
tell when I'm exposed. Like there's the movement and then it starts to kind of hang out with the mold. I mean, we've all been exposed to mold, and if your body is in a healthy state, it's going to process the spores and not stay and colonize.
Yeah.
But if you are exposed to EMF, because that moves it, it does. You can feel, I can tell at the end of the day if I have not given myself enough protection. And you can tell, you can just tell. And I just think that having the knowledge and then going, oh, that's what's going on, that's really the validating part for people who are not in this world but are sick.
Yes. And that's like when people would say, Doc, when I'm scrolling on my iPad, when I'm scrolling on my phone, so I get a sense of anxiety. I feel off. I feel like my head gets cloudier. And there is evidence that shows like the EMF and the light that comes from the phone can affect your body. And I've heard that it can, in a sense, activate even microbes because it weakens your body. And that's when they start to, overwork and they produce poop. And then that's when you start to feel off inside. And again, everybody, we're doing this to be positive. We want you to know that this could be an issue, because there's people out there, right, Kim, that are like saying, docs are telling me I don't have an answer like you. Right. And I'm having all these digestive systems that I just have patients that come in and say, I eat one thing, I'll drink water and I bloat out and I look like I'm pregnant. Right. And first thing I check for is for parasitic infections. So one thing that I think they're going to ask me too is, are there certain types of food that's going to make them, bloat out? We know that it could, sugar feeds it, but do you find that there's any particular types of food that could necessarily make parasites thrive or make them grow? Any sources?
Well, not just the ones that they love, but as we saw in that pineapple video, which, by the way, I'm
so great.
I'm shook because I didn't realize that pineapple obliterated them.
It was so great. I was like, when I watched it, was like all the enzyme action, and then I was like instant. It was instant. You guys got to watch the video. It is amazing on her feed. You got it. Yes.
And think about it. You feel like you have a bellyache after because we're eating this anti-parasitic food, and it's kind of, in essence, not a main cleanse, but it is, going down and breaking the parasites down. So then you kind of feel yucky after you eat it. So people stop eating it.
Perfect case. I would eat pineapple, Kim, and I kept getting an area in my lower descending colon that would cramp. And I was like, oh, I'm getting rid of parasites. And I just kept eating a little bit of pineapple every day. Mm-hmm. And I was taking some anti-parasitic. And one of my friends had checked me with some frequency medicine, like doing biofeedback, guys. So he's doing muscle testing. He was checking these vials, and he found some evidence of like ferredoxin, which is like a form of iron that is produced when your ATP or your mitochondria are running reverse. Oh. And that's very, very important, because what that means is there could be microbes causing that, and that could be very detrimental. If your ATP is running reverse, you could have some really crazy stuff going on. And I was realizing that when I was eating pineapple, I'd pay attention to where I'd feel the aches and pains, like in my gut. And when you came out with the video, it was like literally 2 months after, I was like, that's what's going on in my body. I got so much stuff I want to ask you. I mean, how do you find such great stuff? And I'm not trying to get off track, guys. I just get excited talking to Kim about these things. When you talk about pineapple, you find such great videos, and you have sources, but you show like the remedy too. Like you could take turmeric, that one video on turmeric, and you showed how it killed off the infection, and garlic and such. I was like, wow, I'm getting sidetracked. So guys, I'm getting back on track. But do you find foods do you ever find dairy or potatoes, corn? Does any of those seem to feed parasites?
Yeah. Definitely feeds them. It feeds them and also makes them reproduce. And that's kind of why you feel the way you feel too when you're eating them, because they're expanding.
And they're expanding and they're growing because the mechanisms. I had one microbiology teacher tell me he was raised in India, And he would say in his awesome accent, making fun, he goes, Dr. Motley. That's what he always say. He goes, whatever you eat, they eat.
I eat.
And I was like, huh. And he goes, whatever makes you thrive and feel energetic probably makes them thrive and are energetic. And that always stuck with me. And especially when we're in a fast food nation, we got a meal out here in our front lobby, Kim. It's from 2016. It's a Happy Meal from 2016. We put it under glass. It has not broken down.
That's so gross.
Mold has not even grown on it from 2016.
That's so gross.
And I think about those things like, does your body allow, like when we eat that food, do parasites come in and try to like eat up that kind of material because it may not be broken down? Maybe your body's like, yeah, the parasites are there to help. Maybe.
They're just chilling with the food. They're
That's
absorbing
exactly
it,
right.
and they can take like 90% of the nutrients. So then how does your body try and break food down or gain the nutrients at 10%? Like they literally can take 6 times their weight in spores, nutrients, heavy metals, bacteria, viruses. And it's crazy because, okay, so I really find medicine so fascinating and I use myself a lot as a guinea pig. I went and got tested and I tested negative for Epstein-Barr, and I actually had it tested in my spinal fluid, and it tested negative. I'm positive for Epstein-Barr.
Wow. Are you
So
serious?
it just shows how much they held on to that undetected. It was undetectable because they were holding it. It really was one of the first things I thought of because I was tested twice for it when I was really super sick in my early 20s with my spinal fluid, which most, everyone realizes that that's where everything sits, is in your spinal fluid. Came back negative. So they just automatically said, there's no way you've ever had mono, Kim. You don't have Epstein-Barr, which a lot of us have Epstein-Barr, and you don't have it. And then all of a sudden I have this huge epiphany with the parasites. I'm dropping because I didn't cleanse correctly the first few times, and they dropped it.
Wow.
It just shows like how powerful these things are in your body, and like how much we all really do still have left to learn when it comes to this. And binding, I don't think that I would have had nearly as many problems the first few months of doing parasite cleansing if I had Parafite. Because now I know about a binder, but I didn't know about binders in Western medicine. You don't use binders unless someone's overdosed or they have alcohol poisoning, and then you shove the charcoal down their throat, it absorbs it, and then it dissipates and gets out. You don't think, oh, I'm going to do a microdose of binder with wormwood. Like I never really had done that, and that really is why I created the kit, because you need instructions when you're doing these things, right?
Yes.
People are just going to go rogue and do them. But it just shows how powerful they are and how much they can hold and how much they can not get detected,
I mean, there are things, everyone out there, that we could keep going down these holes because I love it.
We'll
have her on again.
wormholes.
So I know I'm not going to be able to get to all of these. But let's describe, though. I want people to know about Parafite Kit, because before I get off, or I know your time's precious. I don't want to keep
I have
you
so much time, Dr. Motley.
this.
I love talking with you. I have been looking forward to this for so long.
Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to go over a couple more things. But I want to talk about the kit because you talk about binders, but I also want to go over emotional fatigue or emotions that could be causing, the issue. And also here, I wanted to talk about when your emotions get really, really like bogged down, how you were helped. But let's go over the kit though, too, because you're talking about binding. So people out there are going, okay, so you're saying that if I take certain herbs, I need to kill them and they could basically pop open and create toxins. Is that how your kit's set up? Could you describe your kit though?
Yeah. And this ties in with the food too, because I use garlic, I use peppermint, I use clove, cilantro is a heavy metal herb that we use. So food is medicine, and it can be toxic, but I want to use it only in a healing way. So what I did was I have 3 different tinctures in the Parafite kit and a binder. And the first tincture is called Parafite, and it's the anti-parasitic. It has wormwood, black walnut hull. So when they are dying off and they're releasing their eggs, I brought in an herb of the same frequency. And I chose these because each one of the herbs has a frequency that's going to shatter the ailment that we're trying to get rid of while you're doing a cleanse. So think about when an opera singer sings and she shatters the glass because her voice is the same frequency as glass. That's what I did when I brought in these herbs. I had multiple different parasites. And so when you take specific anti-parasitics, they're just designated to shatter that specific parasite.
Wow.
I had lots. I had so much going on. I needed like a full freaking Z-pack, man. Like I needed to go in and really dig in and find out like, oh my gosh. And so I brought in the Parafy, and that's our main tincture. That's your parasite tincture. But then I brought in Sustain, and Sustain really is my favorite tincture, pretty much of anything I've developed, specifically because of Usnea. And Usnea is Mother Nature's doxycycline. And now I know why I do so well on it, because I had Lyme. And so it really kind of helps keep things at bay. But Usnea has Oregon grapefruit, peppermint, and Usnea in it. And so those help with additional layers of small intestinal parasites and inflammation, because they live in mucus and inflammation. And so you're trying to go in and break that mucus and inflammation down. And then I realized that you also have so many heavy metals weighting them down, literally weighting them down. And they have a biofilm that covers them, which is almost just like an entrance only. So nutrients are absorbing into the biofilm, but it's not leaving the biofilm.
Wow.
So it's created a hard shell. So I brought in lungwort lichen, which is goes well on the tree with Usnea. They're actually like cousins. And lungwort lichen stays on the tree. It literally looks like a hand with warts. And is on the tree, and then Usnea hangs off of the lungwort lichen. So they work really well together. And that helps break up the mucus as well as the biofilm that they're being covered in. And then you have cilantro, which helps break down the heavy metals. So they all kind of come together and work in a fashion where it's more than just parasites and heavy metals. You're actually doing a full body detox in order for your body to be able to not absorb them anymore, you know?
Yes. And I love that you have a synergy.
Yeah.
And that a person who takes basically the set is you're covering all grounds. And when you have that kind of like basically ratios, I have seen that patients have done so well. Patients who I felt like I got them to a point where I felt like they're pretty stable. And then we checked your kits on them, and they would need, so much. And they would tell me, Doc, I know I was clean, but I released some things in my toilet and I don't know what to do. I'm like, and I said, well, don't freak out. It's actually a really good thing. You're cleaning things out. And that's kudos to you, Kim. I'm serious. You've done a great job. And I know that people are following and paying attention. And one aspect too is not only are you getting the physical cleansing, but have you had reports of like emotional cleansing? Have you had times like people tell you like their emotions are getting better and they're feeling a lot more happy, a little looser?
Yeah, you're lightening the parasitic energetic load. They hold trauma. Your muscle has muscle memory, and it holds trauma. And so when you're able to release that, you feel lighter. The brain fog goes away. You understand concepts better of your body. And so you're not as confused about things that are going on in your body. Like it's almost like a light bulb goes off because they hold trauma. For me, particularly, I didn't just go out to the woods in a sense to die, because I really was circling the drain and we knew it and we couldn't get answers. I was very ill, but I had a lot of trauma, and I feel like when it's time for me to cleanse, my self-worth is low because They want you to stay in a low vibration, in a low frequency. They don't want to die. So they will when you start moving, you start eating better. They're not going to be able to hang on as much when you're doing these cleanses. And so they want you to think there's something wrong with you mentally, causing you anxiety, causing you depression, making you eat terribly, which then your body can't process that, giving you that happy hormone. They eat your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, you know?
And that is, I want everybody to listen to that. That's a very big key. They eat your serotonin. And on a side note about emotions, Kim, like when we talked about different forms, the cryptosporidiums, the different types of parasites, I have had patients come in, I know you have had them too, that have said, Doc, my progesterone is very low. My DHEA levels are very out of balance, and my estrogen levels, like especially like my E1s, are really skewed. I am not claiming to be an expert in hormones. We both have done a lot of hormone help with people and clients. And I was reading it and I thought, I really thought this. I read through some of your podcast and your Instagram feed and how it affects the hormones. And I started like just researching on journals. And like you just said about eating serotonin, there are certain parasites that will eat certain types of cholesterol in the forms of estrogens, and they will eat some of your hormones. And I was so dumbfounded. Like, that's why I would believe, just by deduction, a parasite could possibly go down to the ovaries. Your body produces the cholesterol to go convert it into estrogen. They are waiting for a meal. And so some individuals could be, they don't mean to. It's just like they're having the pain and the cramps. And then and they're just hurting and they're angry and they just feel bad, and you start cleansing them and they just lighten up because now their hormones are not being eaten up. This is, to me, profound.
There's two parasites that will do it. Schistomiacin is one of them.
Oh, I got to write this down. Schistomiacin. Go ahead. Yep.
And the other one is hookworm. Those are the two. And a lot of women that do this during their cycle, schistomiacin, which is literally like eating your hormones, when you do a Parasite kit, you will release a lot of schistomiacin. And they say, oh, schistomiacin is like Asia. No, man, it's a fresh water. And in fact, I learned a lot about it as a funny enough French folklore. Because of the full moon, they say to start 3 days prior to the full moon, because that's when they start to dislodge themselves. And the French know because they eat a lot of snails, and the snails is is the thing that produces the schistomiacin that much.
Oh my goodness, you're totally right. Like they'll even show them CDC, like the schistosoma, like they'll be in the snail, and they will transfer.
Yes, and so it's just fresh water. That's really where schistomiacin is produced the most, whether it's freshwater snails or just in the fresh water. And so it really is kind of a thing. And then the other one is the hookworm, because it absorbs all the iron. And then when you have your woman time and it looks like they're clots, it could potentially be hookworm coming out. And so they're eating the iron, and a lot of people that have anemia, they say to do a parasite cleanse specifically because that particular parasite eats off of the iron.
I am with you 100%. Yeah, because I've seen these patients that come in with quite a bit of anemia, and I've seen where doing parasite cleanses and even like seeing worms such as strongyloides or a threadworm, or like even pinworms, which I think are basically probably the same thing in some way.
Yeah, it's all the same. Yeah.
And you start killing them off. And I had one of my friends who's a practitioner says they do love to eat a lot of the iron, and they love to eat like the B vitamins. They love to eat some of the nutrients that are in your muscles, and they will go to the area that has the highest amount of those nutrients and they'll eat them up. And so you start seeing like more energy, better muscle, function. And I know that some individuals out there may think, well, you guys are just talking some crazy stuff, but
man,
I'm like,
actually on the CDC and the WHO, like let's be real, like,
yeah.
But they have some really great studies that if you're digging in, and I would say that when I first started in this wormhole that I live in now, it was probably August of 21, I started looking, and they do say that these styles of parasites can be so confusing that people have hysterectomies that weren't needed.
I'm so glad we talked about this. You've hit the nail on the head, because I have started researching like on the CDC as well. I just read what their symptomatology is, and it is surprising what they will tell you. They will tell you,
they'll tell you everything.
Yeah. They'll say, oh, it can cause MS symptoms or cause this. And I'm like, I'm not saying that.
Right.
They're saying that.
Yeah.
And
tapeworm, MS. What? 100% of the cadavers that had MS that were studied had tapeworm. Of the cadavers, right? 100%.
It is so sad, because I've helped my mom. I've been going through some detoxification with her, because she had some neurological stuff like a hemi-stroke, and, and she's had to put, we had to work with her, and she's been into some assisted living, but she stays with me many of the years. And, but over those years, all through all this whole journey, you say like with MS or any type of neurological condition, you'll see that individuals are in these like assisted living homes. And I know people are trying to do their best. I'm not putting any knock against anybody who's in assisted living or in that career, that business. But I think about it, and the type of parasites that could get up into the brain or up into the head, and you're eating the sugars, and they're feeding this kind of sugars, and they got dementia. And I'm like, I would have to assume if you clean out all the parasites out of that individual and got rid of a lot of the high sugar content, probably their brain would come back. A lot of their brain would come back.
Mine did.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's a personal testimony. Everybody out there, it's not us saying something just because we heard it. I had really horrible Lyme disease, and I had really bad parasitic infections in my legs where I thought I couldn't stand when I was treating anymore. And I had Lyme so bad in my brain, I was like, do I have MS? And I was getting tested. And when I started cleaning, especially cleaning the parasites out, I mean, with the babesia and getting rid of the worms, all my strength came back and my brain came back. And like when we talk about doing like you said, every 3-4 months, it's just preservation. Like we're going to encounter parasites. I understand that. There's no escaping that. But if we are healthy enough and respected enough to where you're recommending it, do a cleanse, make sure you flush this out of your body. You don't have to be afraid. And we're not afraid. This is like being a champion. Like, look at you. You're healthy. You're strong. And you've created something that you said that's literally, guys, the moldies, when you talk about mold kits, parasite kits, she's giving back and she's putting the energy back out there. And if you're hearing this and you suspect you have parasites, please look at her feed. I mean, some of the most amazing stuff. Like, I look at your feed and I truly say this, that I wish I could make mine like that. It's so good. Like, and
it's so fun.
It is fun. And
fun. Yeah,
I want to say that you put it to the forefront. I'm really happy that we're friends, and I just got to talk to Dr. Howard Cohn, Dr. Howie Cohn, and you guys are friends. And I just had to talk with him.
We went to a hockey game together.
We have to get together sometime soon, and let's have you back on sometime soon if that's okay. I know you're busy, maybe a few months out.
No. I will clear my schedule for you. I love chatting with you. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, it's my favorite thing. It's like having kindred spirit and talking about these things. And if people hear our voice, we're not like talking about fearful things. We're actually talking about this investigation and learning and knowing. And so, okay, we're going to have her on another time. So guys, don't worry. We're going to keep carrying this on. But can you tell us where people can find you? And I love your name and your acronym on Instagram world. And guys, it just behooves me to tell you, like, when she tells you something that's straightforward, they'll come after her sometimes. But thankfully, hopefully, we're underneath the new realm where she's not going to be, attacked so much. But tell us where we can find you. Okay. We want to know where we get the Parasite kit, where we can see you on Instagram or any type of social media.
So on TikTok, I'm Miss Rogers Hood, as in like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I did a spinoff, Find the Helpers. So MRSROGERSHOOD. And then on Instagram, I'm Miss Rogers.Hood. And then on all the other platforms, Miss Rogers Hood. You can also Google Kim Rogers Worm Queen and you'll find me. And then my website is rogershood.com, and you can find the Parasite kit, free resources that we have. We have free cookbook, fast track guide. We actually just started. We're in our 5th week of a program called Bug Out, where once a week we get on a Zoom call and we help you cleanse, and we have private chats with you to kind of just guide you and hold your hand. So we are out here. I start my podcast on February 25th. So that one starts here coming up. And, I mean, we're just kind of all over trying to teach you to heal and understand your body. That's really what this is all about.
Oh, well, I want to say, I know we geeked out a bit and I get super high pitched voice and speak fast, but it's because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and being on here. We'll have you on again.
Yeah.
I do like to just end this with a couple questions, though. I love to ask sort of personal questions, not in a invasive way, but maybe tell us what you do when you're not educating people about parasites. What are some of the things, like your fun things to do? What's your hobbies?
I really like doing facials.
Really? I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, this is great. Okay, I'm not kidding. On yourself and others, like you do facials?
Yeah. Like I like it when I have my mom or friends come over and I do facials, and I really look at good products. So I have no heavy metals, and I really find that fascinating to be able to kind of morph your body a little bit in a fun way. So, and that includes red lights and just, I love biohacking. I've got a HBot sitting next to me. It's really, I love checking spas out. I love going around to different spas that are opening or cold plunge. I don't know. I'm kind of a geek, and my whole life does revolve around wellness.
I'm gonna text you about all the water filtration, because I'm trying to think of all the stuff that I need to do in mine. I will text you.
Totally.
And what's your favorite song? Favorite music?
Well, I'm kind of in a frequency genre right now where they put subliminal messages. Obviously my best friend, Sam Bruno, she is a musician and pop star.
Aww.
So anything that she does, I'm obsessed with it. She drops songs all the time. So yeah.
Oh, this is so good. Okay. And then last one's if you had to go, if you were going away in your cabin, and let's say they said, okay, for a month, you have to just read one book. Which one would you be?
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Probably an herb book, because
that's great.
Learn I like the Lost herb book. She was cool, man. And then she just did another book, 250 herbs, but you get to learn a lot. You get to learn about the herbs, and you learn about a lot of health conditions that match up with those herbs.
Oh, okay. This has been great. Guys, we're going to have her back on. If you like the content today, just like and subscribe and hit the little bell that you get reminded anytime a new podcast comes out. I want you to go check out Kim's page, follow her, go to her podcast. I'm looking forward to hearing all these things. She's going to do great, and amazing, she already does. So again, I'm so thankful to have you on here, friend, and we'll keep in touch. Okay. This is great. From all of us here at Ancient Health Podcast, we say thanks to Kim. And guys, if you have questions about parasites, remember, it's not fearful. We just want to inform you. Thank you so much.